Ensemble cast together, and what was the casting process like?
Well, yeah, there are very interesting anecdotes to everyone's casting. Avinash suffered a lot because before I locked onto him, there was an 8-month period while I was flirting with other actors. But there's something that I saw in his screen test that he did, which always remained with me. And I just could not shut that off. And I thought he would be the perfect guy because there were many auditions and there were lots of actors that, of course, we auditioned for the part. There was something that was special. I could never put my finger on it, but I knew that he would be the guy. And of course, with Renzel, discussions with Renzel in terms of the character and the development, and when we sat through that, the really worked out fantastic. Interesting one about KK as well is that I had initially approached him for another character for the show, and he read the script and he said, "I want to come and meet you." And I said, "Of course." Another interesting thing that KK and I have been trying to work for the last 20 odd years, but it has never gone through. And I was really, really desperate to work with him on this one. And he met me and he said, "What about Ismail's character? Have you cast it for him?" I said, "No, not yet." So it's like, I would be really kind of keen, and I thought that was fantastic of him because the character has multiple shades. It's not a very black and white narrative that Renzel, the writers have put together. It plays in the grey areas. What is really interesting is that we have stripped people of the labels of relationship and treated them as individuals. So it is a man versus man, not necessarily a father versus father. So the power dynamics really kind of change. It so happens to be about providing. The one who provides becomes, the alpha of the family, and how those dynamics change between two men, and the repercussions that the family as well as the city on a macro level has to suffer. So that is what it's about. Pari was fantastic because we wanted to cast
You made me audition 3 times.
Yes.
3 times.
Yes, we did. And Nivedita is wonderful. She's a great theatre actor, and we thought, and I saw her audition, and I knew that she would be, because there was a very specific kind of language that everyone needed to speak to transport into the authenticity of the world in terms of the community as well. Kritika was the last one to come on board, and this was post the first wave of COVID. And I must say, I've really been fortunate and blessed to have the entire cast, not just the ones who are sitting on stage, also the ones who are sitting in the audience and who are not here. I think each one of them, also my writers Hussain and Abbas Dalal, who worked on the body language workshops, how they would walk, how they would sit, also in terms of the language. So there was a really tight brief given to everyone that you are the hero of your story. So let's not try and outdo each other, although yes, I'm sure the actors would want to impress KK. But each one has done a magnificent job. And once you watch the series, you'll understand the dynamics of it.
Thank you, and we can't wait for the layers to unfold. And your views on the same, the entire casting process?
Well, I think when Shujat is quite a taskmaster. He looks very serene and calm right now in this denim jacket, but he is quite a taskmaster, and he doesn't settle on things easily, and I like that about him. I really think and I keep telling him, we shot this like a dream, and he's not one to take the easy way out. So everyone on the stage really has reached the stage. They're obviously brilliant actors, but I think it was painstakingly done, this period of choice, and I think it's paid off in spades.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and Ritesh, my next question is for you. The show, as from the start, we're saying that it will be presented in over 30 languages all over the world. What are the expectations and how do you feel about that?
As a genre, crime drama, gangster stories, they cut across us. We've all grown up on various crime stories in various different languages. We were very confident when we were making this, that it's going to sort of cut across Indian diaspora and go far and wide. Amazon Prime has been great partners, and they're sort of leaving no stone unturned to put this out there in a big way. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Ritesh?
I think what Amazon has managed to do is this time, I think the language, dubbing it in so many languages. I think because there is, it's not that every show lends itself. I think like Kasim said, Aparna earlier, that it's just the genre goes and sits in the forefront of what people like consuming in the format we are in. And if it has a possibility, which we all believe, that it can go out of the diaspora, and I think with what happens is with language also, there are a lot of people sometimes with the subtitles don't get into it. There are a section. So I think they are even now going within those 240 countries to try to get in that audience. Maybe they would not want to, I'm sure it's subtitled in a lot of languages as well. So I think it gives it, if you have I think what happens is you have an opportunity with an amazing story like this, written by Hussain Saab, which is here, who's here, and you have such amazing actors. You have an opportunity of taking your talent both in front and behind the camera and showcasing it to a global audience. So I think my expectation is after the 14th in 1 week, Aparna possibly wins Ritesh do season 2 and 3 immediately. That's the plan.
Partners in crime, going global hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah. Congratulations on that. Renzo, coming back to you, tell us about the world building of the show. The research was undertaken, the entire creative process of building Mumbai of the 70s and the characters, the looks, the different arcs the series has.
I think one of the high points of the show is and I think that's where the genesis of the name also comes. You say Bombay Meri Jaan, is that it's not just a crime thriller, it's also chronicling the rise of the city and hence the organized crime within the city. So as the city kind of sprawled out through the decades, so did these fiefdoms, these gangs. You see the turf wars between them, and finally you reach the point after the 60s and the 70s to the 80s where you actually have the beginnings of what is now called organized crime. So I think the world building, a lot of it is, while it's a fictional show, a lot of it is also in the public domain, and I think people like Shujat and me are Bombay boys. We've heard this as we've been growing up, right? We've heard the stories about these gangsters, we've heard the story about the underbelly. And so when we create this piece, this fictional piece, I think the world will be something to the so it comes easily to us. And also there is then, a lot of crime reportage that you can delve into and, use to kind of build the building blocks of this world. As far as these characters and the look of these characters, I think Shujat is actually a better person to ask about it.
Yeah, in terms of creating the visual world, there is extreme amount of detailing for sure, because we wanted to transport the audience to believe that it is happening during that era. That was really essential. The genesis of it, of course, came from Hussain Zaidi Saab, whose story is based on, we all know what a commendable journalist he is and what a career he's had. But the visual world coming together was very painstakingly intricate. A production designer, Nitin Gaikwad, a costumier, Ziba Mirai, the hair, makeup, a specialist, Melanie D'Souza, everyone to come together to make it feel like it is from that era and not to act out. I have a huge problem in that sense, purely as a viewer. For period pieces, I see also actors acting period. I don't know, that's strange. We did a lot of extensive workshops with everyone in terms of body language and the language, spoken language. We wanted it to feel organic, that these guys are not aliens in the 60s and they're not like really different from what we are right now. So the emotions right in the same way. A lot of research of 60s, 70s Bombay. Also a Mammoth set, as I mentioned, which was put up because to shoot period, Mumbai is not the most friendly city because it's always growing in such a one city. A lot of hard work of put in over the years bring it to life.
Now, adding to that perfect visual creation that you've done, the world building of it, there's also the music. We just heard Shivani perform Set the Tone this afternoon, and the track has been everywhere. And we want to know, what is the thought when you're actually putting the music and the sound together for Bombay Meri Jaan?
Very honestly, it came from a lot of inspiration from the 70s and 80s Bollywood films. I've been a huge fan of Manmohan Desai and Prakash Mehra. So a lot was coming from there to have the music again as an integral part of that world building. That's why I thought of Shivani to in fact sing the title track, which was raspy 70s jazz number, beautifully penned by Varun Grover, the lyrics of it. We have a lot of music in the show as well, in terms of background score and songs put in. There's some interesting Konkani numbers as well coming in because Mumbai being the hot pot of different cultures and people coming from all over the world. So we wanted to address that, and it was definitely a conscious decision in terms of creating the world. Music did a great part, and Salvage Audio Collective, who have scored the music, have done a terrific job.
Thank you, and Aparna, thank you for getting us this world. But I'd like to know your thought on creating this whole different world now. Needs a lot of time and careful deliberation. What does it take to have such an immersive world building, and what does a Prime Video play a role? Does a role have in this entire creation?
Apart from the determination, the grit and resilience to brave through brutal lockdowns and a cyclone, I'd say research, like Shujat was saying, and honestly, we were just flies on the wall, seeing this beautiful story, take life. The careful, painstaking attention to detail, research about the architecture of that time, and how it has evolved over years. The way the streets looked, the fabric, the hairstyle, the shoes, the watches, the lingo, the way they spoke, just such detail to all of that, and getting the right team together. So we were honestly just enablers, seeing this master conductor, the musicians together, and then when the music played, we were just transported to this world.
And we are also singing, Yeah Bombay Meri Jaan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sushant, Prime Video has had a super successful partnership with Excel Entertainment as their partners in Prime. And Bombay Meri Jaan marks another chapter in this relationship now. How this journey began and where does it go?
The one question I've been asked the most this year, I think it says something about the depth of our partnership. We had the Hub, then we had Made in Heaven, now we are here for this. I think it's a partnership that, as you rightly pointed out, started off as the first chapters of Prime Video itself were starting off in the country with Inside Edge, and I think it's worked brilliantly well for the simple reason that I think we share a passion for extremely diverse storytelling. So you look at Inside Edge, you look at Mirza.co, you look at Made in Heaven and everything. And at the same time, we share an incredibly deep passion for authentic, rooted storytelling. So, I think the combination of these two has made us as you are trying to now popularize the phrase partners in crime. And where does it go from here? I think, and I was saying this earlier, I think we have seen an entire renaissance of Indian stories on the global stage. And I think the work that we've been able to do with Excel, more recently, the likes of The Heart, the likes of Made in Heaven, and now with Bambai Meri Jaan, I think the world is our oyster. I think there are some phenomenal stories that this relationship and this partnership is going to bring to life. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. Yeah.
As audiences